Hi, I'm Maz. My name's actually Mari, but people call me Maz because I know people from all different areas, and the best way is they can't pronounce Mari, so I just get called Maz for short. But yeah, this is me starting a YouTube channel, and I'm going to be talking about spirituality, secret societies, the Masons, cults, covens, um, awakening, about Freemasons, about being spiritually attacked, about becoming a shaman. I'm just going to start sharing my experiences and trying to help people who's going through the same experiences I've went through. So I want to explain a bit about myself, and basically it's all to do with becoming a shaman. A whole story is, but I didn't know that, but I know that now, but it's took 49 years, but that's just earthly years. I'm a lot older than that. I'm very ancient. But yeah, I just want to share my experience of becoming a shaman. It all started when I was very young. I knew I was different. I knew that I could see the world differently from everyone. I was more empathetic. I could feel it when people were upset. I would watch the news and things, and I just wouldn't make sense to me. And I would question everything. I questioned all sorts. So I would say, and how was that? And how did that come about? And do you know what I mean? And then went through some trauma and that as a child. And when I got into my teen years, I was 18 and that I started taking heroin. I got addicted to heroin for many years. For 30 plus years, I was on heroin and methadone. If I wasn't on heroin, I would take a break. I would be on drink. I'd be drinking daily, up to 2 bottles of vodka a day. Do you know what I mean? But one time I took heroin and had a outer body experience. I had a near death experience. I overdosed and I came out of my body, and I was looking down on myself, lying down, sleeping, and I basically says, no, I want to go back. And then for the next 30 years, I was 18, 19, round about that age. Another few years to add on to that, I ended up getting really ill. I ended up getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia. That wasn't the problem. It was actually I had stored trauma, and things that I didn't really want to face that had happened to me as a kid. But as soon as I started healing all that, it got better. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I ended up getting taken off my leg because I was on a moped, and it was a universe, basically, because I wasn't concentrating on myself. I wasn't awakening. So I gave my shock, getting it team off my leg for 6 months, and that would give me time to sort of start working on myself. But within that, not long after that, that's when the COVID came out, and everyone was on lockdown. So I had a lot of time to start healing, and that's when I started. When I came off medication for my leg, I was on heavy duty medication because the morphine and the morphine liquid and tablets wasn't working. So I can't even remember what they were called, but I came off that medication, and I started hearing the dead. Like I knew I was psychic and that, but this was like really coming on full on psychic. And that's when, because my dad, he actually was a shaman. That's my dog. That's Duke. He's doing there. He's sounds like a piggy, and this is Bella. He was a shaman as well. He passed away at 55. He had his own issues. He was also chosen as well. He was affected by addiction, just like me, and but once I started awakening and that, my dad started talking to me, and he started guiding me. I didn't know at this time that this is what I was going through. I was going through all these initiations. It wasn't until later that I found out that I've been initiated this whole time. Do you know what I mean? I found out, but then So that's when I started getting to know who I was at a soul level. And my dad guided me into energy work, so became a Reiki master teacher. And I opened up the doors for a lot of things, like a lot of like finding out what was really going on, and realizing that this 3D reality isn't even real. And because it's all vibrating at a different frequency and vibration. Do you know what I mean? But we just see it as 3D is solid, but it's not. When you get to know energy work, and you realize that we're energy beings, which energy cannot be created nor destroyed. We only change forms. Yes, this body does die, but we're eternal beings. Do you know what I mean? They make you think that we're not. They make you think you die and that's it. Well, it's not very not true. There's a lot more in this 3D reality, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, once I became a Reiki master, I started healing even more. I was looking at all my trauma. Began to heal myself, from all the trauma and being ill and stuff. And I started getting better. And then that's when I started. This last 8 years, I've basically been on my own. I've been single. And I think that was part of it's part of the initiation, because they didn't want you getting sidetracked from a relationship. So this last 8 years, all I've done is do like courses. I've put like time, money, energy into myself, getting to be who I truly was at a soul level, before all the programming and limiting beliefs and all listening to society and thinking that was who I was when it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? So I had all these masks to get rid of. But yeah, I ended up surrendering. I surrendered. I was just going through a hard time. I can't remember. I think one of my friends had let me down, because that's the thing about being chosen, and you have a lot of people who are try to destiny swap with you and copy what you're doing and try to take you off your path. You've got lots of dark entities try to stop you from what your purpose. But yeah, I ended up going through a hard time. One of my friends had let me down, and I'd spent a lot of time and energy and into this person, and them just got hurt. Do you know what I mean? But the thing was, it was all prepared. It was all meant to happen. Do you know what I mean? Everything was meant to happen that way, or I would have just stuck and been the same and not got out my own way and started putting myself out there, like on YouTube, TikTok. I'm co-authoring a book about my life story. I'm a conscious coach. Do you know what I mean? I've started being seen. That was one of my blocks. I didn't want anyone to see me, because that's what I was programmed to believe, that I was not worthy. I've got no knowledge. I've got nothing to share. That's what I believed all my life, and I was thick. I'll never amount to nothing. I'm just a junkie. Sorry, I really don't like that word, right? I really, really detest that word. I use an addict. Do you know what I mean? And then it's not that. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's people who's really hurt and got trauma and things they've not dealt with, and they didn't really want to live. Like, I didn't want to live for many years. I wanted to take myself out through addiction. I'd lost my children through I'd trying to go to court, and I wouldn't get legal advice, legal aid. I had my mum trying to stop me in a relationship with my children. My dad was no longer here. He was my real support in the 3D, but he's my support. He's actually here for me more than he was in the 3D. Do you know what I mean? He's my teacher. My dad is my actual teacher. He's my shaman teacher. He's been guiding me his whole 7-8 years becoming a shaman. And I'm very lucky, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that I know that there's more than this 3D reality, and that the dead are not even dead. Do you know what I mean? We can talk to everyone's psychic. Everyone's psychic, and we're all telepathic. The reason that we got learnt to speak language was so they can try and cast spells. So every time we're talking, we're casting spells. So you've got to be wary of what you're talking and what you're speaking over yourself. Do you know what I mean? This is a spiritual war that's going on. Do you know what I mean? A war for our souls. They have tried to unalive me many times. I've had 2 Freemasons come up against me. I had my father-in-law who tried to come up. He would feed me drugs, so I would inject myself, so I would obviously overdose, because they know who you are when you're born. They know exactly who you are when you're born. This is the thing, and that's how they watch you, and that's how they try and spiritually attack you, through addiction, toxic families, through everything they will try and stop you from completing your mission, your purpose here on planet Earth. Do you know what I mean? Because they've tried with me a lot of times. They've tried to unalive me. I've been smear campaigned. I've had family members trying to. I've had it all. Do you know what I mean? They've took loved ones from me. It's unbelievable, the spiritual warfare I've went through to get to this point. But now I'm able and strong to see the war that's going on, even inside our minds, the MK Ultra mind control that they use, do you know what I mean, in our minds. Do you know what I mean? They're really actually good. They are actually really good, because the first live I ever done, I got spiritually attacked by the Freemasons that I know personally, telling me, you've got nothing to share, look at you, you're common, you've got no knowledge, nobody's got to listen to you, you're ugly and all these sorts of things, and honestly it was relentless. And I didn't post a live for another month after that had happened, because it was relentless. They did not want me talking. They don't want people talking about the truth and what's really going on. But yeah, I went through that thing with my friend. I just surrendered, and I just says, I've had enough, I'm just done with this. And then the next thing, it was like I felt like I died. That's how it felt. I died, but I didn't die. I think it was like getting into the 5th dimension. That's what was really going on, right? I'm basically a bridge between both worlds. I try and be in S3D a lot. Well, I am, because I've got no option. You've got no option. You've got to live in S3D reality. Trust me, if I could just live in 5th dimension all the time, I would be. Because I can just go into a trance and just be up with elders and be ruining a campfire with them. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I surrendered to God. That's what happened. I surrendered to God. I knew, like I said, I used to say universe and source and things like that. But then I knew I had faith. I always had faith all my life. I always had faith. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't realise what it was. But it was God. That's source, who created everything. I surrendered to this process, and that's when the magic happened. The next thing, my dad says, "Are you ready?" And I says, "What?" And he says, "I want you to come with me." And the other places that you can go, other dimensions, is a state of consciousness, right? Yeah, I can close my eyes and go in different dimensions, right? But this is what happens. I'll just explain what happened. My dad says, right, are you ready? And I was like, what? And he says, right, I need you to come with me. And I says, okay. So the next thing, I'm up with my dad, and it's the Galactic Council. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Right, because I've astral travelled and I had a looky, but not really good at it or anything. I've just had a nosy nut, but not been. But yeah, I got up and I saw the Galactic Council, and I actually had a life and death review, and I was a reptilian there, and he was friendly, because they didn't talk. There was just a telepathic, right, and you could just tell that you could feel safe, but it was like, and I just says to my dad telepathically, obviously, I was like, what is going on here? He says, you're all right. You're gonna be fine. And I'm like, and they're going through, but all I seen was them handing pictures and writing. I think it was writing. I couldn't see, because I was standing right back with my dad, beside me. And they're just talking, and all I heard was, and it was all about the bad stuff I'd done. And I thought, oh no, for the what I say, because when you get into addiction, like, you don't come out unscathed, do you know what I mean? You live like an animal. Like, I've got all sorts of my story, do you know what I mean? I've got, like, like attempted murder. It's just honestly the crazy stuff that you get up to is unbelievable. And luckily I never got to the jail, but the amount of times I done in cells, it adds up to a jail sentence, put it like that, and that's for sure. And I'm not proud of it. I was in hell. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want that life. I was just in pain. I had trauma that I hadn't dealt with, and I just wanted to stop living. And with addiction comes all the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Getting into trouble with crime and things like that. But yeah, I surrendered. I saw the council, and nothing after they done the review and that, nothing happened. My dad says, right, you ready? And I says, aye. And then the next thing, that was it. Never heard nothing. About 2-3 days later, my dad just says, oh, by the way, you passed with flying colours. And I says, if it. And he says, oh, you're now a shaman. And I says, eh? And I says, I thought I was a witch. He says, no, you're a shaman. He says, I was a shaman. I says, oh, I thought you was just awake. He says, no, I was a shaman. And because my dad lived like me, and he was on his own, lived on his own. We'd go and feed his birds, and outside to feed the birds, it would just isolate because he was getting targeted, and but yeah, I found out I was a shaman, not a witch. So that was a bit of a shock to the system when I found out. But and then when I accepted it, because I had to accept it, I just surrendered. I says, I give up. I didn't realise I was going through all this initiations until I went and got a life and death review, and it was to be a shaman, kid. But it was not been the easiest journey, I can assure you that. But yeah, I found out I was a shaman, and then that's when my gifts started coming online. I started to astral travel at a heartbeat. I started getting into trances. As soon as I put on shamanic music, I go into a trance. And 1 minute I've got spirit animals. I've got an elephant. Oh, he's brilliant. He's like my wisdom. He's my strength. He's really good. And I've got a hawk. He's my eyes. He's everything. He keeps an eye on everything. Do you know what I mean? And I've got a snake as well. Honestly, you couldn't make this stuff up. Oh, aye, elephant. I've got an elephant over there. I've got elephants everywhere. Do you know that? I've had elephants in my house, and I didn't even know it was because it was one of my spirit animals. Everything just starts clicking into place as it goes along. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, an elephant's one of my spirit animals. And another thing is I can sit with elders, run campfires, and we talk. And not long ago went to Ibiza. This was my dad. Do you know what I mean? They'd planned out this. I thought I was gone for a holiday. No, I wasn't. I was gone on a mission. They asked me what a mission was like, but I done it. So I was enjoying my holiday in Ibiza, and the next thing I gets up in the morning, my dad says, right, you ready? And I'm like, eh? And he's like, yeah, you need to get dressed. I says, oh no. I says, are you joking? He says, no, I'm not joking. You have to go up and get dressed. I have to take you somewhere. And he just tells you. And then the next minute, I goes into old Ibiza town, and honestly, you couldn't make us up where they taken me. Like, honestly, it was all planned. Do you know what I'm saying? It was up to this. It was like a big castle type thing. I got a taxi into town, and then it took me right to where I was meant to be. I was like, wow. And it was right down beside a cliff. And honestly, it was absolutely beautiful. And I had to do a ritual. And this elder came in and actually thingied through my body, channeled through my body. And I started doing this ritual type thing. I don't know exactly what ritual it was, but it was a ritual I had to go and do. And he actually thanked me after. He says, thank you for letting me use your body, kid. And I was laughing myself, kid. Me thinking of that kind of why then, aye, do you know what I mean? But no, it was funny. But yeah, things just start getting mental once you start accepting your role as a shaman. Do you know what I mean? But I wanted to start a YouTube channel. So if you want to follow me, give me a follow. I'm going to be talking about controversial things. I'm going to be talking about being a shaman and my experiences, about addiction, because addiction is a big part of my story, addiction, do you know what I mean? And if I can help any addicts that's gone through the same as what I've went through, do you know what I mean? Because if you are going through addiction and you're obviously chosen for something and a higher purpose. Because as the saying goes, the devil doesn't go into empty houses. And that's why I'm doing this channel is for the chosen, not just for the chosen. It's not just for chosen, because everyone could choose themselves. Do you know what I mean? This is what it's about. It's about choosing you. And once you start choosing you, the universe starts choosing you. But yeah, I'll be talking about controversial topics, about the dark side, about my experiences with the Freemasons. As I said, I've had 2 Freemasons personally. I've had witches, kitchen witches. Honestly, the spiritual attacks I went through is unbelievable. It stopped me from getting to where I am now. They didn't want me talking about awakening. They didn't want me talking about the other side. They didn't want me talking about anything. And I am. That's exactly what I'm going to do, because I hate some resentments with the Freemasons and that. I'll be honest, I saw the Freemason driving instructor not long ago at a shop, right? And he says, "Oh, hiya, how you doing?" And I went, "Don't you dare talk to me." I says, "You're due me thousands," because he cloaked me on that driving lessons. I didn't realise what he was up to. I'm very smart about what he's been up to. But he was doing all sorts of stuff for me not to do my driving and all, and honestly. So that's why I'm like, oh, I'm going to... But, yeah, it's just a thing I have to get over. But, and I saw him at a shop, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you for ages, Ken." And I says, "Don't you dare talk to me." I says, "I work for the Most High now, Ken." And he turned around and he says, "I'm the Most High." So S thinks he's the Most High. Do you know what I mean? He's a 33-degree Freemason, and he only stays 4 doors down from me. It's like, I can't get rid of them. This is why I'm doing all this. I just want to get away from where I live, because, like, I know that I was watching and they're under our thingy, but just hearing it just down the road and even in my face and in my vicinity, I just haven't, like, seen him, because I just want to do... I don't want to do... Well, not just me, my dad, he sometimes gets a rage, kid. He wants to do some things, kid. He didn't like Freemasons.